All right. Well, Dixon, you're ready. I think we're recording. What is that? What's in your pocket? Mr. King?
Hello.
So how you doing?
Good. What's up?
Hey, my name is Eduardo. I'm calling from Ferry Delivery. I need to confirm.
Oh, you okay? Confirm delivery? Yeah.
Yes, okay. It's gonna be between 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Is that okay?
Tomorrow, right? Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, all right. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. 1,000%. I thought that was going to be a telemarketer.
I thought you were just going to take us on a journey that was about to get weird.
I was
You're going to talk to him about Andromedans? Because that would have made a great opener.
Yes, that would have been good.
Welcome to Afterthoughts, everybody, the podcast where we watch something and tell you our thoughts afterward. I am your host, Michael Dixon. With me, as always, Ryan King. How's it going, Ryan?
Does anybody hear that, constant buzzing in the background of everything? Is that just me?
I think you're just going insane.
Is that the signal?
Okay.
You've fallen into a feedback loop online, Ryan.
You're in
yes.
Dixon has a degree in psychology from community college, but it is still valid.
It is a degree.
Yeah. ITT Tech counts.
And that other voice is John Garcia. What's up, John?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? You know, a fun fact about bees real quick. Did you know that the Japanese honeybee cooks its enemies in body heat? Like they swarm wasps and start moving all over, and it brings them beyond boiling point and just kills the fucking wasp.
Wow. Do they explode or just
the wasp just cooks and then they leave the steaming corpse for the wasp's friends to find, and then the bees just go about their day. It's fucking awesome.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah, unlike those European bees that don't even do anything. The goddamn wasps come and kill them.
Okay, good to know. This week we're talking about Yorgos Lanthimos' 2025 film Bugonia.
Greetings. Welcome to the headquarters of the human resistance.
Where's my hair?
Your hair has been destroyed to prevent you from contacting your ship.
What ship?
Your mothership?
Okay. In the next 48 hours, the police and the FBI will begin a statewide manhunt. I'm a high-profile female corporate executive. I am crucial. In all humility, I can say that. Think of it like you abducted the governor, but worse. There is no possible scenario where you benefit from this incident.
That was really good. My pulse is racing right now. I've done a ton of research on this. You're killing our planet.
Alien fellas.
I'm not an alien.
You're lying to me.
What's the difference?
I know who you are. I know what you are.
I know you too, Teddy.
This film is a pretty wild ride. I was shocked that it was nominated for so many Oscars last year. This was my favorite movie of 2025. We probably would have talked about it last year on the podcast if we had been actively recording, but since we weren't, I figured it was something that we needed to discuss because it's a movie that I feel like everybody who sees this movie tells me I just need to talk about this with somebody or I need to hear somebody dissect it. So excited to do that with you guys here tonight. Yorgos Lanthimos is a fascinating filmmaker to me. He is one of the most misanthropic, nihilistic directors that I have ever experienced. Bugonia is one of his happier films, if that means anything to you. But he's a Greek director. He's been making English language films in the US for several years now. I think The Lobster was his first one from 2017. So almost a decade now. He's been working a lot with Emma Stone. He did Poor Things, The Favorite, and Kinds of Kindness with her over the last few years. And they've really developed a great kind of creative relationship between the two of them. But Bugonia is it's based on a Korean film called Save the Green Planet from 2003, which I have never seen, but given the poster seems much more lighthearted than Bugonia. I'm interested to go back and watch that at some point because Bugonia feels so much like a movie of its time, that it being based on a movie 22 years prior seems odd. But anyway, Bugonia stars Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons. Emma Stone plays Michelle Fuller. She is the CEO of a pharmaceutical company in a small town somewhere in Middle America. Jesse Plemons plays Teddy, who lives in an old home with his cousin. Used to be a big family house filled with lots of love and lots of people, and slowly people have moved away out of that house, and now it's just the two of them there. Teddy's mom is in a coma in the hospital because she has basically got addicted to Oxycontin and then is on an experimental drug program to try to get her off of Oxycontin, which has put her into a coma. So she is kind of just stuck as a vegetable in the hospital. Teddy, that has sent him on kind of a crazy path to try to figure out like how to find out what's going on in the world. And he has gone down lots of rabbit holes and determined that he has figured out what is wrong with society. And that is that Emma Stone's character, Michelle, is an alien from the Andromedan galaxy. And he decides to kidnap her and demand that she take him to her mothership so that he can successfully negotiate the removal of the Andromedans from planet Earth. Crazy fucking concept of a movie, and I think it's just one of the funniest movies that I've seen in a long time, and one of the most like fascinating social satires as well. Like very smart in what it's saying, and also just flat out hilarious and all the bits that it's doing. But it really kind of dissects American, psychology and our political climate as it is now, where you have Teddy is this guy who is working a menial job at the pharmaceutical company that Emma Stone runs. And he is clearly not where he wants to be in life. He's in a hollowed out husk of a middle American town where many people have moved away. And he is clearly not happy with his life and where things are. Meanwhile, you have, Michelle, who is this high-powered female CEO, and it's kind of pitting the, Republican lower class male politics versus the, left-wing female upper class politics and how those are clashing together and have resulted in a lot of weird political dynamics in our society. And so, yeah, I think this movie is really fascinating. I'm excited to really crack it open and get into the details with you guys. But Ryan, what did you think of Bugonia?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I do. It is funny. I kind of had the feeling all through it where I'm like, this is funny, but it also really like it isn't. It doesn't seem like the kind of thing that if you told someone like, hey, you want to watch a really funny movie? Let's watch Bugonia.
It's heavy, but it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a dark comedy, right? Like it feels off the whole time. And yeah, I think the whole time watching it, I was like waiting for the shoe to drop, and it actually takes so much longer than I thought that it was going to. Like, it kind of seemed like it was getting there at like the halfway point. And every time you feel like maybe we're going to finally peel back what's going on, it just takes forever to get there, which leaves you in this like constant doubting state of like what's really going on. Which is good, which is fun. I went back and watched some of this again. I didn't have time to watch the whole thing, but I went back to watch like key scenes because I was thinking like, okay, the first time I heard that, conversation or whatever it was, I had a certain vantage point on it. But now going back, I can see so much more, somewhat of what the characters were really doing or thinking, but also more of like what's the message it's trying to be like delivered across by having the context and the ending helps me better understand like what they were thinking as they went. The acting, I feel like it, honestly, especially Jesse Plemons, because I feel like he's, I don't know, just this right amount of like crazed, but sometimes sympathetic. Like you kind of just waffle back and forth on this character, like not understanding. But it really, like, I'm like the moment that stands out where I was just like, this is amazing when you're like this great of an actor and you're willing to go for this. When he's just like riding that bicycle, just fucking like exhausted, like crazed or whatever. I was like, wow, that's awesome. It just looked awesome. I mean, I think it'd be interesting to, as well, like the way that it's shot, it is really just beautiful. But the music is also, it's interesting. I feel like what's something we're going to talk about, where I do feel like it added to creating this tonal dissonance and weird seriousness that was contrasting what we were watching. It's great to just like unpack all of it. I haven't felt this excited to talk about something, that the themes in it and all of it, and go back over it since Midsommar.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily feel that way about Hereditary when we talked about that, but this actually, I feel like has, and I saw that Ari Aster maybe was like originally penned to kind of work on this. It has some of those
He was a
vibes
producer.
too, of like, it's a little bit funny, it's a little bit dark, and you're like, what exactly is going on the whole time you're watching it?
Bunch of misanthropes
Yeah.
rolling around in the film industry right now.
I think Ari Aster tends to have characters you can identify with. This had things you can identify with, but maybe not directly characters. Yeah.
It has like enough glimmers to be like, oh, hey, there's that. And then shortly after, you're like, I don't fucking know if I feel anything for this person.
There are conversations that you can identify with,
Yes.
right? And ideas. But yeah, I don't know that you're supposed to really like feel for any of the individual characters.
Relatable quality is not so much characters.
Yeah. Cool. John, what did you think about Bugonia?
It's my second time watching Bugonia, and now that I've seen it the first time, like Ryan, I didn't have to go back. I sort of had that different vantage point, and I loved it on the second time. I loved it on the first. Kinds of Kindness was one of my favorite movies. Was that 2024?
Yeah.
And I was just like smitten with that. So seeing Bugonia coming out and going to watch it, and actually just like the mind fuck that it is, and as funny as it is, I have that same thing where it's like it all works so well tonally, and there are so many moments that are funny observably, and then like when you pan out to like the high level view, it is funny again, but then when you're like in the middle of it actually happening, it's not funny. it's kind of fucking wild. But yeah, I did enjoy this the second time. I was really loving the way that the score kind of adds like these bombastic emphatic points to the movie and the journey and the characters, and it's like I'm trying to think of another I'm thinking like One Battle After Another had a similar kind of like certain tension to its score that was building, but this is done in such a much more unnerving way. I feel like we listened to, or we talked about another score for another movie on the podcast at some point that had that same kind of like almost the score itself is its own living, breathing like thing that can, if I listened to this outside of the movie, it would kind of fuck with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just such a great quality. I also really love one of the actors in this who's not, in the core. He's technically, he shows up as a secondary, but Stavros Halkias.
Yes, the creepy
who's the fucking cop.
Yeah.
He's so funny, when he shows up. But there's such a like wild darkness underneath his character that like the moment that you see him, you're like, what the fuck is this guy? What the fuck is his deal? And then as the movie goes on, he stops being like a goofy, kooky kind of annoying character and becomes much more like sinister and fucking twisted and weird when you think about it. And all the things he says, it's just like, dude, holy shit.
I just want you to know, man, that all that shit I did to you, I never did that to anybody else.
I must have been on like I think it's like a power trip thing or something. And
Definitely
like,
not a sex thing.
Yeah,
no. That's not me, man.
I love that he says he's on a power trip thing when he's like dressed in police outfit. Yeah. Like adds this layer of irony. Oh man. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it the second time around. It was I've watched it twice now, kind of at night, and I feel like that's like the best time to watch it. It just has like there's such a lock in and a focus that can happen. And you just kind of let like the space fill with the tension of it. And Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone's performances. It's like no wonder Yorgos probably has another project, I'm assuming, lined up for them at some point. Like,
I hope so.
Why not? They're just great together.
Yeah, they're so good, and so many scenes of the film just seem like a play with those two just going at it. There's so many dialogues, if you will, between Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons that it like really centers the film around the tension between those characters, and they're both so good. And like you said earlier, Ryan, throughout the film, like you're not really sure if she's an alien or if she's not, and they both do a great job of walking that line. Like Stone is so good at sometimes seeming like she's an alien trying to convince him that she's not, and sometimes seeming that she's just a person who's exasperated. Like, guys, what the fuck? Like, I obviously I'm not an alien. Let me go. The police are coming. This is ridiculous. And their back and forth is so fascinating. And I think Clemens' character is so interesting to me because he's clearly meant at the start you're not supposed to like him, and as the movie goes along and you have more doubt about whether Emma Stone is a human or an alien, then you kind of start to identify with him more and appreciate where he's coming from. And like, I think there's not enough empathy in our society, I think, for people like Jesse Plemons' character, like Teddy, who have like really are not where they want to be in their lives. They've been fucked over by capitalism and all the things our country has gone through over the past 50 years, and the hollowing out of the middle of America, offshoring jobs, all these things. And like, he's just trying to find answers, right? Figure out like, why did this happen to me? Why has all my family gone? Why is my community broken? And how do I figure out how to fix this? And I think that's like a very admirable thing to like try to figure out how to fix those things. And it takes him off down all these different rabbit holes. And he has a line where he talks about like, I've gone through all the, the whole digestive tract of ideologies over the last 5 years. I was alt-right, leftist, Marxist, all these things. And, but now I finally figured out what the real conspiracy is. It's that you're a fucking alien and you're here to fuck us over. So I love that it's a movie that gives empathy to a person like that and tries to understand where they're coming from, at the same time not condoning his actions and what he's doing. But I think it's just a really interesting look at that kind of a character that doesn't really get much time in movies or popular culture in America right now.
Yeah, I mean, having seen a number of, I'm a subscriber to Channel 5 News, which is the YouTube channel where like this gonzo journalist, Andrew Schultz, just goes around like letting people talk. Like he's at like, flat earth conventions and Trump book signings. And I just remember seeing, it stuck with me, and it kind of rings true every time I see Bugonia. But there was like a woman in one of the Trump book signings that was like, he's talking to her in line and she's like, yeah, all of my family has left me. I'm all alone now because I know the truth. And she's like smiling the entire time. And she's like, I cry every night. I cry because I have nobody. And but she says it and she's like, it's a painful burden, but I have to bear it. And she's got such conviction and confidence in herself and her belief. And that like,
what's the truth that's that important?
That Trump is going to save everybody and do whatever the fuck. It's like that kind of, it's that sort of thing. It's just like so fervently believing that you have the one solution and the knowledge that like other people just won't believe you, and you're unwilling to compromise and try to see some other perspective. And Jesse Plemons' character has that same energy, albeit the movie itself like proves that, hey, he was actually onto something.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, where's the nugget of truth within this? And there's something that kind of started this and something that does contribute to it being true. I also think that like from Jesse Plemons' character too, to flip this into Emma Stone's character, where we've seen a ton of movies that, have, female empowerment. They are like, hey, you can be, a boss just like anybody else, girl boss, girls get it done, all of the slogans that can fly around. And then to have, Emma Stone's character kind of set up as having that Fortune 500 company aesthetic. And she speaks about, I think the first time we hear her really talking is she's saying things about diversity.
Yeah.
She's like, diversity. And then interrupting the script and being like, there's too many fucking diversities. Can you just make it like something else? And
let's diversify the language.
Yeah, diversify the language. And then like right from that into the 5:35 p.m. Memo, which is just a great bit of comedy. That's good shit. Like we run a business here, but also you can leave at 5:30 if you want to, but only if you have your work done. Like all the qualifiers required to make it seem like she's, a relatable human being. So it's like, how can you not think that this woman is possibly an alien? Because every aspect of like CEO language and this like theraspeak, can we have a dialogue kind of shit? It's like, it's
not
being
fucking
real.
Death of a Salesman. Don't call it a dialogue.
And so I feel like you get like both feel like the characters they need to be stood up in almost like a kaiju fight. This is like a Godzilla let them fight kind of thing, which is wild. But yeah, just that establishment for both their characters, so great, because we're seeing like Jesse Plemons do push-ups with his cousin Don. God, I love Don. Poor Don.
The high knees.
Yeah, the high knees that look silly, and he's trying to make it serious. It's like just all that training, getting these characters familiar with each other. Yeah, great setup and great like establishment point of familiarity for both. Not relatability necessarily, but familiarity with both.
Yeah.
Ryan, what did you think of the intro of the movie? Like, how did you find the characters, or what were you initial thoughts?
Yeah, I went back and watched the beginning because I wanted to rehear. So Teddy initially is talking about the bee colonies and explaining like the collapse disorder, and then and then talking through with Don about this like conspiracy, and then switching and seeing the like corporate, all too familiar corporate speak. I wanted to look back on those because I do think they set the theme of Teddy's like search for an explanation, almost like a search for something to blame, which I also went back and watched the like dinner scene where that's exactly what the Emma Stone's character is like, you want this, so you can blame me, like that's what you want. And then the same like fakeness like of what the CEO is saying, and in particular I wanted to kind of look at that 535 conversation because it feels like it's a test, right? At a company, right? They have all these like, even if they don't think of it that way, but they have all these like tests of how hard are you going to work? Like, are you going to reach for it? Like, and they don't really tell you the rules or explain it. Like, right, you're graded on stuff and you kind of have no idea. And seeing that then through the light of like, okay, how are they testing humans as a whole? Right? Like, is this similar where they're like have this expectation that's kind of just impossible to really get or reach? And I think that sets up that dynamic, both through if you're just seeing them for the first time as like two different characters that are opposed, but also setting up the dynamic that then makes sense of really underneath it, where are they coming from?
Yeah, and I think the bee aspect is very interesting. Like, Bugonia is a Greek word for like an old belief in Greek society that if you slaughtered an ox or a bull, that bees would emerge from the carcass days later. And it's like this idea of death giving way to rebirth and new life. And when we get to the ending of the movie, I think it's fascinating to kind of tie all of that together. But early on, just talking about the bees, and Teddy has like a beehive as a hobby that he just kind of takes honey from and brings it to work to share with his coworkers. But he's talking through like colony collapse disorder and what it could possibly be, and he says people claim it's pesticides or habitat loss, or some people think world governments and their agro-corporate overlords bioengineered CCD to manipulate food supplies, but I knew there had to be a larger organizing principle at work. And I think that's a fascinating train of thought to me, where like he's gotten to, it could be agro corporate overlords and world governments that are plotting to destroy the food supply. But I knew it had to be bigger than that. It's like, whoa. Like, you've got to something that like, maybe, I don't know, I wouldn't be surprised if, say the United States government was owned by Monsanto and lobbyists and were being paid to, sign off on these types of things and allow the bee supply to population to decrease in order for food to go down and thus prices go up. I would not be shocked at all if that was happening. Is it a kind of a crazy conspiracy? Sure, but I could see it. But and then you go a step further than that, where like, this is even beyond us, man. It's got to be fucking aliens that are doing this. It's like, that's the point where you go, where like a QAnon theory person has gone way too far, right? Where they're like, yes, there is an international ring of pedophiles controlling the world. It's Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump and Bill Clinton and all these people. But then you're going to these, insane lengths that don't make any sense about how Donald Trump is going to be the savior of humanity and all this stuff, that it's just, you're taking things too far when it's like the obvious explanation is there and it's money. And that's always the explanation for why society sucks and why things are the way they are. But that's not either convincing enough for some people, or it's just too boring of an explanation. So they go beyond that to something else that is just leaves the realm of plausibility entirely. Or does it in this case? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember getting into, it's like people search for meaning in so many different places. And so it's like easy for them to prescribe, you know, like, oh, this makes sense. And I think it is a boring thing. I think it has to be a boring thing if I'm going to take a stance on it.
Yeah.
Some people are just like, yeah, fuck it. That's just a boring explanation and I won't accept it. I remember reading somebody's post online where they were like, every night I'm visited by demons. What is that? Like, I see like dark, shadowy figures. I wake up and I can't move my body. And I'm like, that's sleep paralysis. And like nobody liked my post, my reply to them. They liked the other guy's reply that was, those are demons. You need an exorcist to come to your house and do whatever. And it's like legitimately that person believes that. And I was like, no, that's not how any of this shit works. Like the fuck? But yeah, there just ends up being that tantalizing. And having watched a number of episodes of Ancient Aliens and other things where people were just, you got books to sell, you got fucking whole industries that scaffold up around it. And then there's just people out there that are like, yeah, I believe all these people because they say they saw it or they knew they saw it. And how many books of theirs do you own? Probably like 5 or something. But yeah, they're probably telling the truth for those 5 books to continue to sell and for them to make this money. It's hard not to become cynical when you think about it that way.
Yeah.
That just like opens us up to more potential, like, again, simplify it, but it's where the fucking money is. Like, if you introduce any complexity to that, you're going to fall into the other conspiracies.
Yeah, I find the conspiracies that end up being you're the only person that the wool is being pulled over your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Like something like Flat Earth, sometimes it is or Young Earth, where it's like it is such a small group, right, that's believing in that. And there are
Young Earth
way
is
too
bigger
many
than
people.
you think.
Well, I mean, I'm globally.
Yeah, okay.
United States, yes, it's bigger than it should be, but globally, there's most, either just go with it or there's so many industries and businesses and sciences that are like built off of needing that math to work of a round ass planet.
Yeah.
And that those scientists are also all in it. And all of the governments are also all in. Like you stack up so many things until you're the one person that everyone else is like tricking. Like how far right can it go before you're like, I can understand it when you have something like a few people pulling, something like Watergate. And that is a conspiracy and it got found out, right? And that adds credence to like, there's crazy shit going on. And there are things that have come out slowly around the JFK assassination, around cover-ups and parts of it that didn't fit the narrative. And so that continues to add to this, like there are things we don't know. So there must be more. And there is more, but it is that leap to it's a fucking flat planet. And I love the sun doesn't work the way you think it does. It just disappears out of your view, but it's not actually horizon. And light curves, not in like locally, but globally light curves in some weird, which I'm like, introduces, it's like every time you take another like scratch off the conspiracy theory, it introduces like a whole nother problem. Like, right?
I love that the earth is flat in this movie.
That was another, that was
so
a great
fucking
bit.
funny. Yeah.
Such a good reveal.
The way that it slowly in those title cards, like reveals that,
Oh man, yeah, and then the model Earth at the end, like it's so good.
Yeah, man. What were we talking about before we got off on this whole topic of people believing conspiracies? It was Jesse Plemons building on top of his own belief system. It's like,
it's all the people that want money, but it can't be that. It's got to be something bigger than that.
0 to 60 with his character, just straight into it. I love the way that is established and that the movie plays with your relation to his character, to Teddy, because it's like when he's saying that, you're like, okay, some people say it's the climate. Some people say it's, megacorps. And, I think that it's like fucking bigger than that. All right. You've already like lost me, Teddy. And then I'm watching you chemically castrate your cousin by a fireside, which is very sad for Don. That whole thing where Don's like, I kind of wanted to be with somebody. And then later being like, what does he say to Teddy? He's like, I have these feelings. I feel bad. And like, I feel sad. And Teddy doesn't even try to explore that. He just goes, it'll pass. Like, it'll pass. He just, Teddy's character is constantly reaffirming that he is a repressed individual who wants to repress others and just focus solely on this solution he's cooked up. But then as you start to see those beautiful, abstract, surreal vignettes of like his past come through, you understand it builds that understanding for his character and where he comes from. So much firmly, like more firm, because of the first sequence that's like beautiful too, where you see his mom when he's sitting in the bathtub sitting near her when she's in the bathtub, and she's just covered in needles.
Yeah.
And he's slowly picking all those needles out. And it's like the visual metaphor of like how many times she was, like jabbed with these needles, was using these drugs, was doing these things. To like a hard cut to her, like floating, her essentially just dead and floating above him while he's holding all of the like used needles and drugs in like a bouquet almost. Just like, that's fucking beautiful. It's so powerful, emotionally devastating to see that. And it really snaps you back into this, like, oh fuck, like Teddy is gone through something. Teddy's like, it gives you that, that sympathy to really continue to push you harder and harder towards what Teddy is doing now, is like, what the fuck is this? Because I feel like if you didn't have those sequences, if Yorgos had like covered those up and it had been just plain tension between him and Emma Stone's character, then there would be a lot less likability in what Teddy was doing, and it would be, I feel like, a lot more jarring towards the end. It's still jarring the way that things happen,
yeah.
But I think it would be a lot more jarring and like, oh, what? Like, you can't, okay, but there's kind of a cheer almost at the end of like, I guess he was right. Good, yay, way to go. Like, sure.
I think it's interesting with conspiracy theories, and I am gonna just slide religion in here slightly. This movie doesn't talk about that at all, but and I know religion and conspiracy theories do share a lot of commonality. But I think that they both come from an emotional place, not really a logical place. Like maybe there is a point where you're like unpacking something logically and you hit a gap, but the leap on that gap isn't done through the scientific method. It isn't done with rationality, and the like forcing method to like need to explain it doesn't come from those either. It is this like emotional response you have. Right. And I think you were talking about Channel 5 earlier. It is interesting to watch when he lets people talk, or he has that documentary where he goes around and goes to MAGA rallies and actually follows someone whose life has essentially been destroyed by following through on all that. And it is so emotionally driven when you hear, it's like, well, this happened to me. Right. And then I started going through all this to search and find all these things because I knew something was wrong about that, or there was something more about it, or whatever. Right. And it's always this emotional response. And I heard someone that was like, you never hear someone got into religion like through logic. So it's kind of like silly to argue logically, right, against the religion, because that's not how that person got there. They got there through some emotional connection, or even if they become religious later in life, it's some event that sparks that search for that. And so and then they're doing the same thing back, fighting someone who's looking at it logically with this emotional asks, right? And I think even here, right, like Teddy is never really talking specifically about the proof or what proof he has, as much as he tends to talk about like, well, this is where the problems come from, and this is what hurts, and it's all explained by this big thing. And once I find it, and pull that final thread, everything will get fixed. Yeah. Not necessarily everything will finally make sense. Everything will get fixed, right? As we kind of keep telling Don, like, well, we only feel these things right now because of that. We only, this past hurts because of that, right? And once I can get that thing, it'll get fixed.
Yeah, and he's setting himself up for his kind of ultimate push over the edge downfall towards the end, because he's so focused on there being like one specific prize that when another is introduced in the form of him potentially saving his mother, that completely diverts his energy from what he was trying to do. And he's again, still not using logic. He's so emotionally wrapped up in it that he's able to just take that and run with it to its own end. Yeah. And we even see that at his work too. Like, he is a very emotional person when it comes to, even though he's very like kind of conservative with his actions at work. He keeps himself pretty cool and calm and collected, and he's not making too much conversation with anybody or like palling around, but he brings honey to share with his coworkers, and he's talking to his coworker when they're boxing stuff up, and he's very concerned that her hand was hurt and she hasn't filed something with OSHA. He still has a belief in some of the systems because he's like, that's a violation and that's fucking wrong, and you should do something about that. They should. And she's like, I just don't want to make a fuss. And he's like, everything's going to be better one day. I like promise you. So he's just driving all of his beliefs into these different aspects, and it shows you how much more of an emotional creature he is than Emma Stone's character, who is very cold and calculated and wants to like just use and leverage any particular avenue of her language or her assets or whatever. I think at one point too, she talks about like how much power she kind of has. I love that line that she says where she's setting out what's going to happen in the next 48 hours.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, there's going to be a search party. The FBI is going to get involved. Like, and she says like, I am a key job creator. Think of it like you abducted the governor, but worse. It's like,
he's like, I say that with humility.
Yeah. So much arrogance in it. It's fucking wild. But yeah,
she explains that to her kids through dinner, where she's like, I'm a job creator. I do all this, and chills up the turkey. And
she spreads out the asparagus to show where the distribution of all of the innovators in Virgil, Texas are going to go.
I don't think I've heard that word since the George W. Bush presidency, but they brought it back and it works.
Yeah, like the build on all of these as we watch kind of like, I feel like this is a spiral just for Jesse Plemons alone. This is for Teddy. This is Teddy's spiral that he rides all the way down. And I think I'm kind of curious if y'all have opinions on who's the closest to the audience as a character here. It's Don. Right?
Probably.
Don's got to be the closest to the audience. But there are times where the film almost feels like it's framing it to be from potentially, is that her character? Michelle from Michelle. Yeah, the film feels like it's framing it from Michelle, and that's like in certain sequences where the camera is pulled up really close and you're seeing Emma Stone's like beautiful eyes. It's like gorgeously shot up close framing, but there's so much expressiveness in her face at different times that it does feel like you're along for the ride in the confusion that she's undergoing. And then at a certain point, it shifts into being much more like Dawn is. We are Dawn. We're wearing somebody else's dad's suit to the party. And we're not sure if it fits too well, but we're told it's fine. And we're also told to not say anything and to just sit there and experience it.
Yeah, no, I think Dawn is the closest. Like Michelle and Teddy are so opposed, like so flipped to each other, to each extreme. And then Dawn is the one even sat middle at the table, who is, as us, constantly like, should we do this? Like, I think that's too much. Like, are you right? Like, I have other things that, I want to do in my future. I need to use the restroom. And then constantly like, right, Jesse's like beating him down. I think that all the stuff with Michelle is shot and feels like the like crime either crime documentaries or crime procedurals where you do follow the victim through all this stuff and you're looking, from that vantage point, and it wants to feel like that, but it does pull you back every so often to kind of question it a little bit.
Yeah, and I guess we should bring up the aspect ratio of the movie because it kind of factors into how this is shot. Because this is in is it a 3:2?
So 1.66.
Okay. It's like typically I think it's what's used for like 35 millimeter photography.
Usually 1.85.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a little bit wider. It is normal. It's narrower than a normal movie, but it's not like an old school 4:3.
Not full in, yeah. And that lends its own extra essence to it in this way. So it's like it does feel, it's not fully claustrophobic. There's a lot of breath in the images that are shown, but it gives such an emphatic central focal point for a lot of shots and allows for the space between characters to be a little distant, but not too distant from each other in these like close quarters areas. I felt like that created some subconscious feelings for me watching it where I did feel like I was in the room. To say that like I felt like I was Don or with Don, or like more like Don's character, I think that space in the framing allows for that feeling more so than if they were to do more 1:2s or have a fully wide frame like shot of it, like the traditional, I guess, 16:9 aspect ratio. But what were y'all's thoughts on that?
Yeah, it definitely adds like cramped feeling, but it's also the aspect ratio that like photos are in.
Yeah.
Right. I think that now the widescreen aspect definitely gives you like I'm watching a movie feeling, or even right TV. I think the old 4:3 feels like, old TV, old movie kind of feel. But this one being in that spot that is it's the ratio that like a picture is. So it kind of creates these like really good setups in your mind of like certain shots that are like pictures. But also I think that's a lens we look through, right? Like a movie lens, you're like, it's this bigger, wider experience that I go to theater to see or whatever. But like photos are something I take myself and look at. Like they are a certain like reality.
Mhm.
And a lot like, even though we're talking about like a crazy subject and Jesse's talking, the character Teddy is talking about like this crazy stuff, the movie constantly feels real. Like all the things that are happening feel very real.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it gives a level of intimacy to the movie that is really helpful in these small scenes in the basement or at the kitchen table where you're just sitting there with really two characters with a third kind of off to the side, not necessarily participating in what's going on. And it brings an immediacy and an intimacy to it that I think helps really well. Also, it's shot on 35 millimeter, which it's great. Like the whole thing looks incredible, and you just don't get that very much in modern films anymore.
I didn't realize it was shot on film. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty nice. Well, yeah, that was one thing that I noticed this time around. I don't even know if I registered it the first time when I was watching, because I was just kind of so enamored with the actual story and what the fuck was going on. I was like just spellbound by how crazy everything was.
I want to talk a little bit more about the actual conspiracy theory and what Teddy believes. And I think it's really it's so fascinating to me how they just invented this conspiracy theory out of whole cloth. And it's just so intricate and specific. All these weird pieces that come together that are just kind of pieced out over the course of the movie that you get slowly as Teddy is constantly reminding Dawn of all the facets of it. And it's like, he thinks Emma Stone is an Andromedan alien, and there are other Andromedans on the Earth that are here to subjugate humanity and to make life worse for everybody. Unclear when he thinks they arrived, but he seems to tie it to the deterioration of his life since childhood. So I'm assuming he thinks they've been here for, 25 to 30 years. But all this specific stuff about, we've got to shave her head because she uses her hair to contact her ship, or we've got to put this antihistamine cream all over her body because physically she's the same as us, but neurologically she's different. And this will like interrupt some sort of processes that she does to level the playing field. It's not torture. Like all these things that it's like, how do you spot an Andromedan? Well, you got to look for the details. Narrow feet, thick hair,
slight overbite,
slightly protruding earlobes, just like all this stuff that she's basically just describing attractive people.
Yeah.
And he is essentially just angry at the rich, attractive people that are doing well while he is not doing well. But, there's so much stuff about, he's like, I can perfectly render the Andromedan ship on my computer because I've built upon the shoulders of giants. There's other people, this random YouTuber had all this theory about Andromedans that I built upon to create this big theory that I have now. And he's the only person that has his theory. There's no one else that believes what he believes except for maybe Don. But I don't know. I thought that was really interesting the way they built this, crazy massive conspiracy theory, and you just get little details of it as the movie goes along.
I was thinking about that when he shows the render to Don and he's like, here's what the ship looks like. And he like learned how to do it in like Blender. He's making it go through like space in some way. That says something too about Teddy as a character, because when you see like conventions or is like Flat Earth Con or people talking about aliens, there's a lot of community around it. But like Teddy doesn't talk about having any friends, about having anybody besides Dawn who really believes him, which potentially points to the fact that he is on some kind of fringe path. He doesn't really want to associate with, or maybe he's exchanged emails with whoever these YouTubers are that he talks about. But that beyond that, there's no correspondence and no outreach, because if he had found that empathy, they probably would have stopped him from trying to do what he was doing, or it would become a collective heist, I suppose. But yeah, there's got to be something to be said for that, and the fact that he just turns only to family and is like, I can only trust my family. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to trust other people. And we find out later that he's experimented on multiple regular human beings to try to figure this out. Like Teddy's revealed to be a serial killer, essentially. And it's like heads in jars and hands and like notes and other shit. It's just crazy. And so all of those little like breadcrumbs leading up to it. Yeah. As it builds the conspiracy, it builds his isolation, and then it builds a perfect picture of somebody's gone completely detached from society and from humanity. And he like looks at other people. I think there's a scene where they're walking through a parking lot, and he's just telling Dawn, like, these are just like, like these people are okay. And he's like, I mean, they're not okay, but they're just people. And it's like, even in that,
no one here's doing well.
Yeah.
I think that it's one, Teddy wouldn't trust anyone.
Yep.
Right, because like anyone could be in on the conspiracy. You do eventually get to that.
It's
extreme.
like The Thing, anybody could be an Andromedon.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe they're posting their theories online, but they're throwing in things to throw us off the trail, right? Like eventually you go down that hole.
Yeah.
But I do think from a movie making aspect, like having all those details adds credence to how much he believes it and makes it feel like conspiracy theories that we bump up in real life, right? Like every Ancient Aliens episode, it isn't enough to just be like, did they build the pyramids ? And then just like talk about it. They have specific like, see this like relief with this Mayan, and he's looking at this thing. Well, this is actually this, and we've reconstructed this spaceship based on this, that we saw, and right, like that, all that shit adds the credence to them of what they believe. Those details are super important. And so, I think it helps add to how crazy Teddy is that he has all of these specifics, and I just don't feel like it would feel as real if we didn't have those weird oddities to be like, what, why is it that way?
Yeah. As misanthropic as Yorgos's films are, and this one obviously no exception, there is a certain level of human care and understanding that you have to render these particular monsters. And I think that is what you're talking about, Ryan. Like if you were to show this without that, or to have something that's much more of an obvious facade of conspiracy to say like, hey, Teddy's crazy, it would feel like a Hollywood caricature that doesn't breathe. Actually, once it's rendered in film, it would feel schlocky, or like a Roland Emmerich character, I guess. Roland Emmerich's a great example of a director who has conspiracy theorists, and they're all awful like renderings of people. They're not funny, they're not well-rounded, they're not actually relatable or understandable. They're just there to almost point and laugh at. And this is a character that demands like respect, that there's like gravity to them. Whether you agree with it or not, it is something that you have to reckon with as like a potential real human being out there that could believe these things. And that is building the case.
Showing the chemical castration piece is also getting us early into like how truly dedicated this character is to that, right? It's not enough for them to just say, oh, I have this belief, or give the details, but actually we do, show, not say, this person is this crazy into it.
Yeah, this isn't like a Paul Schrader contradiction where it's Taxi Driver and, he's not actually training his body. He's pouring whiskey in his Cheerios or whatever the fuck. Yeah. There's a commitment here that's dangerous and concerning.
Yeah. And I think, John, you talk about, the movie actually taking him seriously and giving empathy toward this character. And I think Emma Stone's character's perspective is the kind of liberal elite view of people with conspiracy theories, or not even that. Like, I feel like just any opinion that's heterodox or not acceptable among the, US elite is like, they use that, like, the echo chamber term or whatever to just like dismiss any ideas that are counter to, like, if you say that COVID was created in a lab, which there's like, really strong evidence supporting that theory at this point. People are like, oh, you're crazy, you're a racist, you're in an echo chamber, you're a conspiracy theorist. Like, anything that is controversial to the establishment, that is threatening to the common order, is viewed through that lens. And there's that scene where Emma Stone is like, I know what you're going through, and I have the authority to talk about this because I'm a chemist by trade, but I also have a psych degree. And Jesse Plemons like, oh, a university that launders privilege for money? Great. Congratulations. And that's a really interesting example of that class dynamic too, right? And it's just, I don't know, I think all that's fascinating, and it's showing kind of the way that people are treated generally by, kind of the American, rich liberal elite that look down on anybody who has a belief in something that is different from the established set of views of the moment. And it can become very frustrating when you're made to feel like a conspiracy theorist just for looking at what you see and calling a spade in some cases.
I'm interested in the politics of this. I think it's not as much specific political conversation as more that class divide, which is what drives a lot of American politics. Even though we don't talk about the class divide, we've used the class divide to help, push people away from each other.
Yeah.
But also, pull people within a class together to get them to operate as they want. Because it's tricky, because I think like a CEO also is on that conservative side, just fake. They use the wool of liberalness to help cover up the fact that they're right. It's like, oh, we're diverse, but they're not. They're totally exploiting people.
Yeah. When I say liberal, like, or democratic, like elite, I mean like the like the corporate speak that Emma Stone is doing, the like fake progressivism around, like, oh, we need to have diversity in the workplace, or we need to have like, and not to say there aren't genuine efforts out there to do that, but like most of those end up falling flat and not actually achieving those goals, and are used to distract from like the real issues in society that are driving the class divide.
Right. And I think that it's that cult aspect of both political sides that we have, where you use buzzwords, right, to either shut something down, right? I'm like fake news, right? It's just you give a response and to shut something down. In the same way, right? Echo chamber is a on the other side, a way to shut down something, right? To just be able to shoot that word at it. And exactly like there are these complementary words that we have on both sides to shut down the conversation about something we're not actually going to like try to fix. And so, yeah, I think that it's like the character, again, there's a lot here where the characters are different and diametrically opposed, but also kind of similar to each other. Like, it's finding those areas where either they're like both applying meaning to something that doesn't have it, or like, yeah, using these things to sort of shut each other down in their arguments to not actually end up talking and sorting anything out, right? Like the talking doesn't get us anywhere. Well, it's not because that doesn't work. It's because neither one of you is actually being like honest and upfront and actually communicating. You're trying to use all these words to shut each other down.
They talk about good faith for a brief second when they're initially having their dialogue between each other, where Emma Stone's like, hey, can we just in good faith approach this and talk about it? But even that in and of itself is an attempt to bring him into her world and have him like the moment that either of them would start to talk to each other in the same language, the manipulation is amplified. Because it's like towards the end, that's sort of what happens after we get to the pivotal scene. We haven't really talked about it. Spoilers, everybody out there. We've already spoiled some of this stuff. Fuck, it was going to happen. But after they build up to Dawn dying, and then, we get Teddy coming in and being bereaved. There's that whole sequence where this is where Emma Stone starts connecting with him on, an emotional level, and it's like, you can save your mom. Here's how. And she starts to talk to him in the conspiracy language he understands.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I have a serum. It's an antidote to an experiment that we Andromedans were working on to see if we could metamorphosize people. And it doesn't make any sense either, but to him, it makes perfect sense that they would be doing an experiment on people, including his mother, given the pharmaceutical thing. And that they're like, sure, if there's some way that I can save her and stop her from becoming an Andromedon, then yes, I'll take it. And it sends him biking fast with his jug of serum, the antidote. That's definitely not antifreeze, despite it saying it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that. And then later when she just belts out like what sounds like a long load of bullshit in a conspiracy, but is probably true. It's given the end. It's fucking crazy.
Well, aside from the antifreeze bit.
Yeah, aside from the antifreeze bit. That bit was like a whole thing to test him. Like, well, fuck it.
Yeah. She expertly manipulates them both when she finally gets the chance, maybe because the cream is not on her anymore.
Hey, that was a thing. She wasn't wearing the cream.
She's just been whittling them down, and she knew Don was the weaker of the two and was able to play at that. And she learned enough about Teddy to figure out how to, pick away at him and use his own stuff against him. That, like, immediately I was like, she just thinks you're going to get arrested when you antifreeze your mom. Like, that's exactly the thought that he should. And then everywhere else throughout the movie, because he's been able to disconnect himself, he immediately is like, don't listen to her. Like, she's just trying to trick us. She's just trying to trick us. And it finally lets his guard down. And then, I think that last chunk of the movie, because we had the antifreeze bit, we as the audience, like, still can't trust her.
Yeah.
And so as she says stuff that you also are like, okay, this is kind of making sense in the theories and things that we've seen. You're also like, but it can't be because we can't trust her. She's still manipulating him. So like it there towards the end, she pulls out, they get all the way to her office. She pulls out this box and then pulls out a calculator and is like, it's like, oh, it's all these numbers and I'm having a hard time remembering it. I know it just looks like a calculator. Yeah, it just looks like a calculator because we had to make it look at it. And even then I was sitting there being like, is she manipulating him? Because this seems like such absolute bullshit. But then a part of me was like, she did pull that calculator like out of a weird fucking box out of a drawer. Like, why would that be that way? And immediately, right, I'm like, oh my God, I'm playing into both sides.
Yeah, the movie does a fascinating job of making you completely unaware which direction it's going. And the whole time I was rooting for a certain ending, and then that ending came, and I was so happy that the movie did what it did. But it's like you go back and forth thinking, believing Teddy or believing Michelle, and it's hard to know. And they both just act the shit out of their roles to where you believe both of them at different times. And it's kind of a crazy ride just going back and forth between them and trying to figure out what's going on as you're watching the movie for the first time.
Even watching it for a second time, the emotional consistency and potency of their performances really draws me in to ride that line again, even though I know where it's going. There is something almost like hypnotic about it where I'm just like, oh my God, like, how can you not believe what Teddy's saying or what Michelle's saying at this point in time, given the way it's delivered? It really does. Cause there were parts where I was getting tripped up too. Like when she supposedly, I noticed that thing, Ryan, where it's like, oh, she doesn't have the cream anymore. And she's talking to Don and Don's getting like weird about it. And then when Don dies, like shoots himself in the head, she gets blood coated over her and she has like such a visceral reaction of like, Jesus Christ, like, and so even that is there to like put that breadcrumb back down of like, did she actually know that she was going to do it? And this is, why would she do that if she was all alone? But it could be a, Jesus Christ, it's misinterpreted as something that's like, oh my God, that is inconvenient in this moment. Not as much as she was. It could be.
She was manipulating him, but she
not
didn't
to the
think
end. She
that
thought,
was going to happen.
Yes,
she thought,
there's a bit of those
something
things
else was
where
going
it's
to
like
happen.
it still has an open door for some of these aspects to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you end up looking at these like very razor thin aspects, right? Once you come back and you know it, now you're like at these little tiny pieces of like, well, is that little bit actually true? Like you start picking it apart even more.
Yeah, it's a very fun second viewing because you just have a completely different perspective on the movie. I think you can appreciate more some of the other things too, like the acting and the filmmaking, that you're just so engrossed in it the first time that you don't really get a chance to fully appreciate. But I want to talk a little bit more about Don's suicide because that scene is just fucking brutal. And you're not, it's so abrupt and you're not ready for it, where, you know, Don has Michelle at gunpoint in the basement because the pedophile cop has come by to ask some questions about the missing persons case and to just check in on his old babysitting buddy and make sure he's cool. It's like, you know, Michelle is trying to get Don to set her free. She's like, the cops are up there. They're gonna take you to prison. If you set me free, then like I can get them to not send you to prison. Teddy will go to jail, but like you'll be okay. I can like, you know, help you get out of this, you know, awful relationship that you're in with your cousin. And Don just is clearly going through something and not really sure what he wants to do. And you don't really think in the moment that suicide is one of his options. You think it's just, does he turn in Teddy or not? And the third option is just fuck it. He's like tells Michelle that he's ready to go. He's like, all right, I'm ready to go. Let's do it. Tell Teddy I love him. And then she's like, I will. I was like, oh no, don't. Like after he said, tell Teddy I love him, I was like, oh fuck. And then he just turns the gun on himself. And man, it's rough.
Yeah.
And he's the most sympathetic character in the film. It's just, he does a great job. That actor, he does such a great job in that role of Don. I saw an interview with Yorgos Lanthimos where he talked about wanting a neurodivergent actor for the role, and Aidan Delbus is his name, and he just does incredible work there. And he's just such a relatable character, and the person who doesn't know what's going on, who's not super convinced of either situation, and it's just it's really sad to see him go in that moment.
Yeah, the tragedy of Don. Is just a sweet character. That whole sequence I saw building up to, and I felt that the first time I was watching it, I kind of suspected because he talked about being sad earlier, and also he dropped those hints where he was like, well, like, how long do we get to stay in space for? And Teddy's like, we're not staying in space for that long. It's like an hour or two. And he's like, so we're gonna have to come back here. I was just like, oh man, Don, buddy, I don't know what's going on Earth, man, but you don't deserve it. That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's promising, you know, it's like, it'll go back to the way it was. It'll be good again. Yeah. And I think Don just reaches that conclusion of like, there's no way out of this. Like, there's no good way out of this anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, it's all gone too far. And it still seems like even at the end, he's debating all of it anyway, and just kind of gets pushed to that point of like, it doesn't really matter which way it's going. It's just negative. And there's no, like Teddy's all I have, and Teddy's not that great if you think about it.
Right. Yeah. Teddy made me castrate myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that they wouldn't fall prey to Michelle's feminine wiles.
It's just, oh, man. Doesn't he say like at one point he med like an alpha move or some shit to Don?
He is like, that's alpha king shit.
Alpha king shit. Oh, God.
I mean, and going from there, the movie just keeps getting crazier and crazier. You know, then they're going to the office because Michelle says that she can teleport them up to the ship, and that's where, you know, Ryan, she grabs the calculator and is like, I have to type in a 58-digit code to get it to work. And another jarringly violent scene. And in every Yorgos Lanthimos movie, there's at least one jarringly violent scene, and we get a few of them in this one. But it's so funny too. It's just a funny misdirect where like you think that you're not sure if it's a teleportation device or not. Like she's like, just get in the closet, and then I type this code in, and then you'll get teleported up to the ship. Or I can go first. She's like, no, I'm not going to have you leave me here behind. I'll go first. And
right.
He thinks he's outsmarting her. Also, he has a homemade explosive vest on because he doesn't want her to pull any shit, which he reveals at the last second before he goes into this thing. And I'm assuming that she blows him up when she hits that thing, but it's unclear if his vest just happens to malfunction or if she is like destroying him. But she seems like pretty afraid of what's going on, is trying to get further and further away from the closet. So I'm assuming there's like press 1 to teleport up to the spaceship, press 2 to explode your enemies.
Yeah.
Or she knows like the whole thing reconstitutes she explains, right? And
Right,
she's like, oh, we
yeah.
can't both get in there because then it'll reconstitute us, on the other side. And I'm like, okay, well, he's going to be in there with a bomb. Like, what's going to happen with that? So she may have known that it would just cause a reaction.
Something.
Could be, but she seemed to have a plan the whole time.
She's walking carefully away from the ship. Yeah, I mean, she also said like there will be oxygen there, which it's not really like a guarantee that there would be breathable air on the other side either.
Yeah.
But it's just its own thing. I know that somebody in the EMS vehicle also is like says something about his bomb,
those
like
things just
homemade
go
bomb
off.
just goes off sometimes. Like you know, you never know. And I mean, there's plenty of times during the film where like Teddy is established to not be nearly as smart as he thinks he is, but like false confidence in the way that he does. So it really like spreads out a lot of different seeds for possibilities of like what maybe happened and whether or not she knew or was aware of it, how it was going to go.
Yeah. Look, and sometimes it's like, the best lies are as close to the truth as you can get, right? And she may have, it was like she did still seem like she knew if they went to the office that people would be like, why the fuck are you back? And they'd see this crazy guy, right? And all this stuff. And they would call someone or get security at some point. And so she's just like delaying the whole thing, which again is like, isn't she? Right? You're like constantly waffling with that. I can't possibly think she had any plan. If she took him onto the ship, they'd kill him on the ship or whatever. Right. I think it gets it's clearly like there's a point where she's like, oh, wait, he can't be arrested anymore. Right before she's like, he'll just get arrested and it'll be fixed. Yeah. But when she finds out that he actually, in all of his serial killing, did actually get a couple of Andromedans, and does know what the fuck is going on and would be able to show some proof, that I think then that's where she turns and is like, oh no, I have to kill him. It's not enough to just
he can't
like
know. Yeah, he can't.
Right, yeah. He can't know. He can't keep killing. Yeah, because she could totally have kept going and escaped out of the house, but she waits for him to get back.
Also, she asks him how many were Andromeda when she uncovers his like creepy serial killer closet that's just full of body parts in jars and all this conspiracy theory stuff and models of the Andromedan ship and all of that. She is like, how many were Andromedans? He says 2, and she's like incensed that there were 2, but how the fuck do either of them know how many of them were? She might be able to know, but he doesn't. How would he know if it's an Andromedan? He just like cuts somebody up into pieces. Oh yeah. Definitely Andromeda.
He figured it out.
He cracked the code. This is
he did.
Quiet sequel to They Live.
Yeah. I guess he refined his process and figured it out.
Yeah. But yeah, and then obviously, like this thing keeps going just 100 miles an hour toward the end of the film. Like Teddy, blows up in the closet, and I love that his severed head flies and concusses Emma Stone.
Yeah. it's gory and it's goofy at the same time. It's so fucking wild.
Exactly.
Very good severed head, by the way, like super realistic.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of Midsummer, really not realistic severed head in that. Very, very realistic severed head in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then where Emma Stone wakes up in the ambulance, she like immediately just like rips all the cords out of her and like jumps off of out the back and limps back to the office, and then goes in the portal and teleports up to the ship. And that spaceship is just so fucking wild. Like she emerges from a pool of goo, like like an old school KY jelly wrestling pool that she comes out of, and Blue is nowhere to be found, unfortunately. But she's like, immediately surrounded by all these Andromedans wearing these like fluffy sweater jumpsuits,
like crocheted armor, like big, cozy style stuff.
And the whole interior of the place is like a cave almost, with these weird goo ponds for teleportation. And then they proceed to have a long conversation in Andromedan, confirming literally everything that Teddy thought was true. Like, we assumed you would have signaled us if there was trouble, but we couldn't hear you because you didn't have your hair. All these things are just so funny, hearing them recite all these things back.
Yeah, what's really funny is when I first watched this, I didn't get to go to the theaters. I had like rented it at home, or I just like outright bought it on Apple TV because I think you had told me it was really good, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'll Yorgos, whatever, let's do it." They don't turn on subtitles or captions, by default on my Apple TV, and they
interesting.
don't show you what they're saying if you don't have subtitles turned on.
Oh, man.
So I just watched these fucking aliens
weird
talk.
clicking noises.
Yeah, we were just sitting there. Sasha and I were just sitting there, and I was like, man, they're really fucking going for it. They trust us as an audience to think that we know what the fuck they're saying, and then they like pop the Earth. And I was like, guess they fucking had to kill everybody. I guess that's just what had to happen.
I do watch with captions. Like I've just gotten to where, you know, Darla's hearing isn't as good and mine is like kind of gone in an ear, and it's just easier with captions in general. And I'm used to watching subtitles all the time.
There you go.
But weirdly, the Google version, if you have the subtitles on, there's a bug that when it gets to that scene, it turns them off.
Oh no.
Oh.
And I was sitting there, I had the exact same thing where I was like, what? There's no way, like, there should be subtitles for this. There's no way that we're just supposed to. And so I rewound it and I looked and I turned the captions on and then off again, and it fixed it and it had the dialogue. But I was like, that's weird. It's funny that you had that same, there's something wrong with the encoding that is causing an issue.
That's interesting. I saw it in theaters and I have the 4K disc, and both cases it presented correctly, where there were no subtitles until that scene, and then they show the subtitles when they're talking in Andromedan.
Y'all remember that movie Babel?
I never saw that. That's a Iñárritu film, right?
Yeah, we got way too far into that movie before we found out that it also wasn't giving us subtitles, and we were like, "Well, it's Babel, right? Like, I guess we're just supposed to get the impression of what these other characters are saying."
That's one of those things where my brain is just now conditioned to not know if that's an artistic choice or not.
Right, yeah.
So I just pivot hard into like, man, they're acting the fuck out of this scene. I can tell what everybody's thinking. Like, it's so wild. But yeah, it's also so jarring to see Emma Stone emerge from the goo pond with all the aliens, and I was like, I don't even know if I should understand what these people are fucking saying to me. I don't give a shit. Like, fucking, why not?
Right.
It is, I will say, quite a head trip to watch that whole sequence play out, just sitting in silence and listening to that babble, and then watching the Earth shield get popped, and then where have all the flowers gone plays. I was like, damn, that was a great ending. So impactful.
Yeah, I love the ending of this movie, and one of the things she talks about with the other Andromedans, turns out she's the Emperor, by the way. Spoiler alert.
Right.
We didn't mention the electrocution scene earlier.
Not at all. To identify that she is one of the higher ranking.
Yeah, she has royal blood because she can take an absurd amount of electricity.
I'm sorry, I thought you were admin. That's my bad.
And he tells Dawn, he's like, "This has never happened before." And Dawn's like, "Before? What the fuck are you talking about before?"
Yeah.
Oh man.
But then she talks about how the experiments that they're doing are actually real, and what she told Teddy about his mom was actually true, that she was part of an Andromedan experiment to see if they can essentially like remove the like awful gene from humans, like the homicidal gene from humans, because they have created, I guess we should probably just get into
let's talk about the whole thing. That's the other side of the theory.
So Emma Stone has told Teddy that, basically he's right that Andromedans are real, but Andromedans came to Earth when dinosaurs were ruling the Earth, and they thought this was a great species, and then they accidentally killed all the dinosaurs, and so they felt guilty, and they created new primate life to mirror their own. But it turns out they all just ended up being horrible people and being violent and killing each other. And kind of she walks through some of the events of human history, as well as like the myth of like the world flood and all these things and all the reasons why these things happened. And now like humanity is just fucked, and there's just a bunch of violent assholes that can't actually function as a society. And so this is a last ditch effort from the Andromedans to save humanity by doing this experiment to see if they can reconstitute their genome and remove the homicidal aspect from the species. And then when she's on the ship, she says, "Hey, how are these other experiments going?" Like basically they all failed. There's no hope for humanity. So I'd like an interesting twist where Teddy was right about almost everything, except not that the Andromedans were there as a destructive force to destroy humanity, but they actually were there just like playing God and created a species that they didn't like and were trying to fix them.
Yeah. There's like a bit too where she talks about, one, sending Teddy to kill his mom essentially was a bit, she considers it a test. She was like, I would think that you would have had any moment of apprehension about giving something that I told you wasn't antifreeze and was in my car to your mother, but you didn't. So, you failed that test pretty hard outright. But then she also notes that she feels different. She feels worse when she's lived among humans for so long.
Yeah.
That it's changed her and made her awful. And that she's like, I just don't want to be with these people anymore. And in that moment, it's like, I think during that point in the movie, she's still kind of playing up into his conspiracy, but there is, now going back on it, when you see like later, it's like, oh, she actually is most likely genuine here. Like she hates having to do all of this because it's some part of a system that like humans need. It's part of their like, I don't know, their whatever their genetic defect is, that this homicidal gene she's trying to, expunge. But yeah, it's kind of wild that it's just there, sort of threaded in as her talking about what is essentially going to be what she discusses at the very end with the rest of her Andromedans. Like,
right.
Yeah.
So they don't say that his mom was. They say that there were experiments, but they don't definitively say that his mom was one of those. So that is also one of those like little pieces of like, it's up to you of like if that actually was the case. Like maybe she just was, in the coma and it had nothing to do with it. So yeah, I guess I want to unpack now kind of what I feel like I saw as the bigger themes here. And I think it's key that Teddy isn't fully right, because his whole thing is looking for this like purpose and reason. Like he wants a reason why humans are bad and these bad things are happening, and it needs to be an external reason. Right? There has to be something else above it. It can't, right? And as she talks about the colony collapse, she lists off some things where she's like, it could be a series of factors. It could just be like the bees. It could be in the bees. Like it doesn't have to be.
Sometimes the species just winds down, Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it just winds down. But even like saying that of like, it isn't necessarily even an external force. Like maybe it just is happening. And the realization, like the pullback is, yeah, sure, there's aliens, but like it's intrinsic to humans that you fight each other.
Yeah.
Right. And you guys are sad and this shit happens because you do it to yourselves and right. And all of that. I think it's disingenuous when she blames humans, being around humans.
Mm-hmm.
I think that she's like above humanity in her mind.
Yeah.
Right. Like obviously they feel that way. To where she's kind of like callous to them and their nature, but is excusing those actions by being like, well, I'm around the humans too much.
That's why.
To be that way. Right. Which is the exact same thing. Yeah. It's the humans that are wrong. the humans are looking for this external validation of their, violent nature or whatever. And she's also trying to put this external validation of like, well, it's not us that have been fucking with Frankensteining down on this planet, playing God. It's the humans. It's their fault that it's this way. Then there's also this hierarchy of like bees to humans to Andromedans, where Teddy thinks he's doing good things for the bees, keeping them. Like that's our lie about livestock, right? That's like at the end of it, though, we totally exploit them and are totally causing. Some of the colony collapse could be from the actions of how we're handling their colonies and have changed the food chain and all these things, right? And then the same thing is happening. The Andromedans like continuing to fuck with it always unravels, and the humans like unravel. And that similarity of those hierarchical chains where we think we're doing, we can just, they're bees, fuck them, right? Like this kind of feeling about it. But also seeing that like that's their Earth too, right? I like the ending of just like all of these dead humans, but you see like dogs and bees and like everything else gets to go on, beyond the humans.
Yeah, and I think before I comment on the ending, the one other thing I wanted to talk about was colony collapse disorder as a metaphor for what's happening to humanity right now. I think is a really fascinating comparison, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, the workers just slowly leave and then the queen is stuck there and she dies and the colony dies off and nobody really knows why this is happening or what's causing it and what are all these big factors. And it's like, you compare that to what's happening to the town that Teddy lives in and just middle America broadly, just being hollowed out by all of these larger factors such as offshoring and financialization of the world. That, you know, it's like, well, why is this happening? I don't know. Who can say? But, you know, there actually are like direct financial and political decisions that have been made that have created this environment. And it's just really sad to see that happening in so many communities in America that used to be these thriving places and now look like a collapsed bee colony with a bunch of empty houses and people who are barely
factories.
Barely making it by. So yeah, I thought that was like a really brilliant metaphor for kind of what middle America and Teddy's character are going through, like comparing that to bees and CCD.
But this like class separation that's only getting worse, the way that Michelle as the CEO is kind of treating her employees and talking about her employees. But like, what's the CEO of a business with no employees, right?
Yeah.
Like it would just fall apart. Like you aren't the thing keeping it all together at all. Like you need that. You need the whole rest of the business. And this like exploitation can eventually get pushed to a point that you just destroy the thing because you've gone too far. I kind of like, I feel like recently the bullshit with prices, like post COVID, they didn't come back down like they should have. And like tariffs have been up and down and they're not coming down when the tariffs come back down. Like they're just keeping things high. And I saw that the Frito-Lay division of Pepsi is like fucking dying because the chips are too expensive and people aren't buying them. But they don't, right? But their solutions are not, why don't we like lower the price because it doesn't cost us what it cost all the way back in COVID when we raised the price. But no one wants to be the one to like lose value in a quarter by lowering the price until it catches, until the purchasing catches back up. So it's just on this like downward spiral where they're losing more and more billions of dollars.
Good, fuck
and
'em.
just sitting there being like, who could do something about it? Well, we'll just make them smaller. We'll put fewer chips in there. Right. And then it's like people are buying them less and less and it just keeps spiraling downward and collapsing where they're just like,
is it possible to put fewer chips in a bag of Lay's? Like, I don't know that you...
Don't they already put... Isn't it like a third of a bag is the actual chips and the rest is air?
Oh, I think it's much less than that. The argument is that it's for packaging and shipping purposes so the chips don't break.
But those chips are fucking broken every time I open them.
No, it's bullshit. I get these, the boxes of like treats from Japan.
Oh, yeah?
And they have fucking full bags of chips.
What's going on, Japan?
Yeah, I know. Well, everything, like, it's all so much better. The packaging is better and fucking easier to open, and it lasts better. It's all recyclable. All the shit tastes like what it's supposed to. It's required by law that the packaging, that whatever you show a picture of, it has to match perfectly, even to the like size on the package. If you get,
that's legit.
Like in America, they're like enlarged for detail, right? Or the colors are off. It's like they get sued if it doesn't match. I'm like, man, it's like the regulations there are pretty interesting of like how consumer protective it is around fucking potato chips.
RFK Jr., why haven't you gone to Japan? Fucking learn something. Jesus.
I mean, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is one of the most effective agencies of the government when it is funded. So, that last phrase being the key one. But, I mean, I think all of this comes together into this just beautiful ending that we've touched on here where the Andromedans all decide we're done with humanity. The experiment is over. There's this flat earth model that has a bubble over it, and Emma Stone pops it with a stick. And then there's just this incredible montage of just dead humans all over society with Where Have All the Flowers Gone playing. And it's so beautiful and so like horrifying at the same time. It's just such a wild 2 minutes of film where you see
it goes on. 2 minutes is a long time.
It's a lot of images. Like there's the one of the doll factory workers is so funny to me because they're like dead doll factory workers next to a table full of doll parts. But all these situations, like a couple having sex, like all these different things, like a bunch of people at a big board meeting.
It's like a dance party that's just like completely strewn about, a wedding, and
there's a mosque with all the
sauna.
people praying that are just like not moved. They just look like they're praying because they're just still in that position. It's just so many crazy scenes to this wonderful song, and then it ends on this shot of just bees pollinating flowers and going about their lives, and then we cut to black and the movie's over. And again, Yorgos always with these misanthropic messages, but I think it's just a really powerful way to end the film in a depressing but somehow uplifting way as well, with the song that's playing. And it's like, hey, humanity is fucked. We've done a lot of horrible things. Maybe we're beyond saving, but maybe there's other forms of life out there that still have a chance, that can still do something. If we go extinct and, become a part of history, maybe that's actually for the better, and the rest of the planet can survive in a different way than it has in the past. And it's an ending that it just really makes you think about the value of humanity and whether it's worth us continuing to ravage the planet in the way that we have. And it really hit home for me.
And it was interesting not to show like the action of people falling over or crashing cars or whatever that I think you would see in another movie. Like we just cut to it's happened, and just these almost still shots. They're not, but they look like it, right? Like kind of again with the aspect ratio, these like photos of everyone who's just died exactly in the spot they were. Like it just happened.
Yeah, it did feel like going to an art exhibit for like the death of humanity as the exhibit itself, and just seeing all the different poses that could be conducted with that. I did also get vibes of Doctor Strangelove, because they say we'll meet again at the end of that one, and it has a similar kind of like melancholy, like almost like there's a bit of levity in the way the song is picked,
right?
But
no, that's a really good comparison.
Haunting,
Yeah, and two of my favorite endings that I've ever seen. So they both achieve something really, really interesting there. And I can't think of any other movie that has had a similar ending, showing just mass destruction and death with an uplifting song in the background and leaving you confused in how you're supposed to feel about it afterward.
Zack Snyder's watching.
I do think it.
Oh God, get out of here, John.
You set me up, but I had to knock it down. All right, sorry. Go ahead, Ryan.
I was gonna say though, I do think that the images are more of the happy moments or like good moments of humanity, though. Like we're not seeing
it's not
shots
violence
of like
in the
humans
streets
fighting or war or violence, right? All the thing that supposedly the Andromedans are saying is what makes us terrible. We're seeing the moments that would be what someone might say would make us redeemable. But those fall to the wayside as well. Like, it's sort of an all or nothing.
Yeah. It's a beach party. It's a wedding. It's a cruise with a bunch of people.
A cemetery.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah.
But
someone at the cemetery.
there weren't like tanks that were just continued to roll. That could have been a scene, but it wasn't.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. But yeah, no, it's like, it's wistful about what humanity could have been and the good aspects of humanity.
Yeah.
But saying like, maybe it's for the best that we're done.
The good doesn't outweigh the bad.
Yeah. The song, it's amazing how well that song fits. Because it also has kind of all the meanings of what we've been unpacking, where it talks about, it starts off with like all the flowers are being picked, right? And this like exploitation that humans are having that's causing, this global collapse that we're going towards. And I think it's too late. We're all fucked. And then as it goes through like all those events, getting like sort of somewhat worse and worse, like all the girls grow up and get husbands, but all those husbands become soldiers, and those soldiers go to war and die, but then they become flowers again, and there are young girls again that pick them again. And like that loop of maybe, the planet's going to survive without us. Maybe we come back, even when the story, whether it's true or not, that Michelle, the emperor, is telling Teddy she says that they killed it off, but like accidentally humans came back at one of the points. Like they were trying to like restart, but they popped up anyway.
Because like
Also
humans
like,
created
like,
new humans that were fucked up and like violent and
Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
But and then that's been the problem ever since, is like those humans that they didn't intend for that came out are the ones that, you know, she's putting all the blame on. But interesting that like even with the destruction of everything that they did, shit pop back up, right? Like
Life finds a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gay dinosaurs copulated somehow. Somehow there's more dinosaurs.
Somehow humans have returned.
Yeah.
That's exactly the line I thought about.
All right. Well, any closing thoughts here?
We didn't talk about the music beyond that last song. It's just like
Talking about the Green Day song,
loud instrumental. Yeah, there's like there are 3 sampled like songs that are in there. But the otherwise, yeah, the music either has like these B-tonal like buzzings underneath it, or these like loud jarring, especially the ones that like the, you know, title cards. that it's interesting where it'll have a scene that's kind of quiet and then just be like bam, like on to the next thing, this loud discord.
Yeah. Even it's like when a murder happens, or which, you know, it's like when something tragic or traumatic will happen where there's gore and violence, then you'll usually get like a big sting. It's not like quiet when it happens. It's the movie and the score definitely both work together to be like, this is big.
Yeah.
Whatever this is big that's happened here.
Yeah, it almost like pulls us back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes preceded by like a camera shake where like when a violent event is about to happen, like the frame will start shaking, like when Dawn is threatening Michelle with the shotgun. And when Teddy is about to like tackle Michelle at the dinner table, there's these like that buzzing really intensifies, and then you get this like a little bit of shaking in the frame that really just brings up the intensity.
Yeah.
The Green Day song, which one is it that he plays? He just plays it over so he doesn't have to hear her
Yeah,
scream
yeah.
while he electrocutes her. But they also had the Chaperone song earlier after we met Michelle and she's driving home right before they kidnap her. And they've specifically pulled out just the part she's singing of Good Luck, Babe. The lines that she sings along with are like, make another excuse, come up with a stupid reason, good luck. Right now, like the same theme again of this, like, come up with whatever reason. Yeah, you can say it's just the way you are and make a new excuse. Like, it's the exact same thing where they both are claiming, well, it's something else. It's something else that's causing all this, and never stopping to be like, maybe it's us. Maybe we're the problem. Are we the bad guys?
Yeah.
Am I the asshole? Yeah. Typically, yes.
My only other thought is, was there any symbolism to them having Jennifer Aniston faces? Is that what they had?
My understanding is that what's the director's name?
Yorgos
I'm
Lanthimos.
going to say it, and it's going to be him, Lanthimos. I'll say Lanthimos. I can say that for sure. That he just was like, he likes Friends, and Aniston is also part Greek,
Okay.
and that was it. And he was just like, yeah, let's put another like part Greek person and another Greek person in.
Sure, why not?
It was funny. It also was the right like pick, because you cut to them in the bushes with
Yeah.
Aniston paper masks over. Yeah, another one of those just like funny.
Oh,
moments.
that whole scene, because we kind of skipped over that abduction sequence, was just also beautifully done. It's so fast and visceral in its carry out, because it's like kind of funny too, where they're just fucking up a few times. Like Dawn tries to take her out, she like punches Dawn and he's down on the ground, and then Teddy's like trying to grab her and he's trying to do the spray, but he's not too close, but he's trying to like spray nearby. And my favorite, I would say it's like my favorite shot early on, is when they're fighting right outside of the pool room that's internal.
Yeah.
And it's just quiet. You can kind of hear the muffled like groaning and punching and whatever that's going on over there, the tussle. That's such a fucking great shot, and like works really well with the audio and everything to really hammer home like what's happening at that moment, as being horrific, but us being separated and kind of distanced from it. Like almost feels like Yorgos is like, look, like don't take this part like too serious. We just need this to get to the part where we're now like in the conspiracy nuts, like power, and try to do what we can.
I absolutely love the comedy moment of you're in on something like loud and chaotic or violent, and then you snap to like really far away,
Yeah.
and it's this little tiny like quiet thing that's happening.
Yeah. That contrast is always fun.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I think that is going to bring us to a close. Ryan, I assume I know the answer, but would you recommend Bugonia?
Yeah, I would absolutely recommend it. I loved it. It pushes me even further in the camp of, I know I keep saying it, but I would really like to watch more Lanthimos films because I
You
do
should.
think that they're up my alley. This was very up my alley.
Nice. Yeah, I thought that this would be interesting to get your take on because of our JFK conversation and like, you know, you kind of poo-pooing conspiracy theories. And I was like, I'm very interested to hear Ryan's take on this and Teddy's character specifically. So I'm really glad you liked it.
It so perfectly nails the like how a conspiracy theory works and what drives someone and all of that. It just fits perfect.
It's not a conspiracy theory if it's true, Ryan.
Right, that's true.
John, would you recommend this?
It becomes
movie?
a conspiracy fact.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I would recommend this. I would also recommend that we not just look up Andromedans, but surely there are Alpha Centaurians out there that are coming for us.
Good point.
They're closer than the Andromeda galaxy is. Why are we not worried about them?
Are we the Milky Way aliens? Then?
The Milky Waylians?
Yeah.
It's my new garage band.
The Milky Waylians?
Yeah, the Milky Waylians.
I like it.
Thanks. We're working on our first album. Somebody's going to play it while they're electrocuting some like Alpha Centaurians. Yeah, I would recommend this. It is one of those where like I don't have to put any caveats to it. I feel like it's, and Dixon, you've also had the experience. Telling somebody to watch this movie just results in them coming back and being like, that was fucking nuts.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. Or like, it was wild. I don't even know what to say, and trying to like just talk through it. So this is a great one to see. Would recommend.
Yeah. I would definitely recommend this movie as my favorite movie of 2025. Lanthimos now has my favorite movie of the past 2 years, 2024 with Kinds of Kindness and 2025 with Bugonia. So he's on a fucking roll right now, and very excited to see what he is going to do next. But yeah, I mean, I think I've recommended this movie to so many people, and usually people don't listen to me when I recommend movies. They're like, oh yeah, you're like a movie snob. I don't want to watch that weird shit that you told me to watch. But like, people are watching this, and I don't know what it is about the movie where people seem like attracted to it when I tell them about it, and people dive in and will watch it and come back to me like a couple days later and be like, holy shit, dude, that was fucking wild. And I think you can have very different experiences with this movie and still like it. Like one of my coworkers watched it and she was telling me about it, and I was like, yeah, it's just so funny, right? And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. This was not funny at all. She's like, it was really interesting and it was, you know, very suspenseful, but it wasn't funny. Like, I was like, what are you talking about? And like going back through some of the scenes, you didn't think that was funny? And she was like, well, I don't, you know, because like in the moment it's kind of horrifying at the same time. But I think you can have very different breadth of experiences with the film and take different things from it, whether you like thriller horror movies, whether you like comedies, whether you like social satires, or just like, you know, chamber piece acting, you know, with just two people going at it. There's just so much that this movie does that it seems like it has a pretty broad appeal in my social circle of people from kind of very different backgrounds who like different things. So
do you recommend Climax to that same it's hilarious. God, it's funny.
Yeah, Climax, everyone I've recommended it to who have watched it has not liked it, but I love that movie. Yeah, cool. Well, that's going to bring us to a close. I have been your host, Michael Dixon. With me, as always,
Ryan King. It's like it's 5:35. You guys, you know, you can go home. Feel free to go home. Absolutely go home. You know, unless you have some work, but go home.
Oh my God. And
John Garcia, if you're gonna go shopping hungry, please don't buy the whole fucking store. Buy a few things, eat a little bit, and then go back to the store later when you're of more sound mind.
Yeah, shop for your political ideology slowly and carefully.
That's right.
Don't just go grabbing the first thing that seems like it kind of makes sense. Thanks for sticking with us, and thanks for putting up with our bullshit.
Hey there, movie buffs, TV toughs, and all listeners in between. John here from the Afterthoughts podcast. I just wanted to drop in at the end of this episode and say thanks for listening. If you've got afterthoughts of your own to share, hit us up. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Afterpod, or jump into a conversation on our Discord server. You can find info for this and more at theafterpod.transistor.fm. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.